thank you for taking the time. Love the series. I had the luxury of speaking with several of the cast, which only made me appreciate, not only what I see on screen, but the work that goes into it. And it's a pleasure to speak to everybody because it's just such a beautiful family.
It really is. We really love each other, and everyone is so different. But when we're all together, it's the best place to be. I love this job.
And how did you get into acting? Was it a family thing? Were you inspired by a show or somebody? Or
yeah, well, I saw the movie Annie when I was younger and became obsessed with it. Basically, Carol Burnett as Miss Hannigan is what inspired me to want to be an actor. I didn't understand how she did what she did. And also just the whole, it's such a wonderful musical. It's such a great movie. So of course I had to audition for my local community theater production of it that summer. So my first role was I was like 7 years old and I was in the orphan chorus. I didn't even get a role with a name. I didn't have any lines, but I'd walk on stage for Hard Knock Life and I'd walk off and come back on for one song in Act 2. And I was like, this is amazing. And I was addicted to it ever since. And, I did it for fun as a kid. And then when I got into college, I was like, I think I really want to do this. So it was something I always did, but didn't really, no, I wasn't like, I guess you could call me a child actor, but I had a lot of interests. So later on in life is when I got really serious about it.
Your path wasn't set when you were a kid, but it did follow. It did lead to this.
It did. Yeah. Because of the joy, because of how much I love doing it and how, when one show ended, because I was a theater kid, I needed to be in the next one. It was just the best experience to get to know people and build a show together and then to perform for people different every night. And I still believe like theater, it's my one true love. So, and my husband, if you can hear me.
The great thing is, you speak about joy, is the joy that you got from Carol Burnett that inspired you now lives on in you, and you're going to inspire the next generation of aspiring comedians and actresses and actors. So
yeah, I hope so. That would be amazing.
Oh, I know so. I see I'm involved with the fans online, and I see how passionate they are about you. It's like, so it's, it goes far and wide.
Yeah, for sure. Our fans are incredible. It's so nice I'm not on Twitter very often, but when I am, it's so nice because normally I equate Twitter with like political stuff and a lot of nastiness, and then I go on and it's really just for ghosts. And I'm like, oh, people are kind. People are supportive. People are so nice. They just want to laugh and they want to lift each other up. It's inspiring.
Mm-hmm. It truly is. And what initially drew you to Flower?
Oh, I loved how complicated she was. She on the surface, yeah, she's a hippie that is forgetful, and because she's still high in the afterlife and has acid trip flashbacks or mushroom trip flashbacks, one could write her off a little bit, but she really has so much inner life. And every time we get another morsel of her backstory, it just becomes more interesting and more complex. So I really feel like she's this deep well of a character where there's so much to discover. And the deeper we go, the more we find out. Like truly, you could say anything about her and it might be true. Her story is not written entirely. We don't actually know what she was up to in those 5 to 8 years before her death. So I'm excited to find out, or even before that, where she came from, what kind of household she lived in. I think it's fascinating. The kind of people that run off and join cults and communes, cults specifically, have very interesting upbringings and sometimes the opposite of what you might think. So I'm excited to find out more about that.
Do you have any guesses? Do you have like a backstory of what, who she was before, things we haven't seen on screen or in script?
Yeah, I think she was very straight-laced and proper. I think she probably had a lot of siblings. I'm not sure that perhaps a religious household, but definitely a very strict one, and probably acted out a lot and was a rebellious teen, or or didn't really discover that till after grad school, because she did go to law school. We know that. And she tried to follow a certain path, and then certain things happened in her life, certain traumas happened that forced her to step outside of all of it and just go, I got to figure myself out. I got to lose myself a little bit. So, yeah, I think it'd be really interesting if she came from very, straight-laced, sheltered environment. That's what I'm hoping for.
Like you said, that we don't know, and we could find out, they could drop a bomb. It could be something completely different, which is exciting.
Yeah.
That's what is fun about the show is, you think, well, the ghosts, their stories are over. No, their stories are much wider. We only see a small glimpse, one chapter in a very long book. So
that's right. And we're all, what I like is we're not all completely defined by the year that we died, We're like regular humans, where we're a culmination of all the years we've previously lived. So there's flashbacks of what Flower might have been like in the 50s playing basketball in high school, which could look totally different than how she looked in 1969 when she died. So, even Hetty, who was Hetty in the 1840s as opposed to the 1860s. It's really that part of the historical part of the show is really fascinating to me. And also that Pete and Flower might have been alive at the same time. Like, what was Pete like in the 60s as a young kid? So that's really cool to me.
I like how it can kind of tear down these barriers or like labels that they, you associate with it, and they create these characters. Like, of course, early on you think, okay, well, you're the hippie, he's the like a caveman or Viking, and so everyone had, then you think that's who they're going to be, but they really grow and expand, and like this second season. So this whole second season, we really started to dig deep into these characters, and we even had some romances, which is pretty much, I thought, unexpected.
Yeah. It's really fun in any situation when the ghosts pair up in different combinations for scenes. We really got to find out. I feel like season 1 was very much about introducing the ghosts, who they are to Sam, and who they are to Sam through Sam to Jay. And second season became more like, who are the ghosts to each other? What are their interpersonal relationships? And how deep can we go? Because we've all been around together for like 50 to 1,000 years. So we know each other really well. And we have some history, which has come out, which has been so great, like with the whodunit episode and a bunch of other episodes. So there's so much backstory, but just between us to unearth that Sam doesn't even know about. But the romances especially have been really surprising, and kind of like what's been really fun is thinking about the why now. Why does Flower now want to go on a date with Thor, or why are Trevor and Hetty just now getting together? And I think it's because of all the changes with having a living in the house that sees them, is kind of like their teacher or their mom. We have some order finally, and within that we are we're becoming more and more vulnerable to each other, which is nice.
And I love hearing all the thought, and that every time I have these conversations, I'm just like, that's great. That's what I love. It's like an obvious passion and love for these characters and for what you do. It's and it shows. So wonderful. Going into Thor and Flower, you have this relationship. It's very sweet, very very different. What was your initial reaction to the romance, and what is it like working with Devin on this atypical love story?
Devin is so fun to work with. He's he is Thorfinn. He's so funny. He keeps it loose. He's very relaxed. And so we have a lot of fun together. We end up improvising together a ton. Mostly, improv doesn't get to make it in because we have a very tight show, and the writing is already so good. So, but it's just fun any day where I'm like, I have a Thorfinn Flower through line today. This is great. And doing our episode, A Date to Remember, was such a blast. It was so fun to be in an A storyline with Devin and to experience like, well, what would Flower and Thor's first date be? It was wild. There was actually one part of that episode that didn't make it in that we were so excited about. It was a part of the date, and we're hoping it comes back in season 3. I don't even know if I can release it, but making that episode was such a joy. And also to finally get to why Flower has intimacy issues regarding her ex that passed away, that she'd never talked about before, her ex from law school. And you realize, oh my gosh, she's been through so much pain. It makes sense now. Oh God, it makes sense why she doesn't want to fall in love again. You know, it's easier to have these loose, meaningless relationships back to back, or, you know, at the same time. So to feel what it could be like if she actually stepped into those waters with Thorfinn and let herself fall in love, it felt really powerful. And so I feel like there's a lot of way they can go. You know, they can go pretty far and really have an incredible relationship. I think they have the ability to be a little chaotic and toxic too, which I'm hoping we see more of in season 3.
So when you learned her tragic backstory, it's like, it's tough. I didn't expect that. I don't think anyone did. And then you see this, like, oh, gee, like you said, this explains everything. This is why she's afraid to be in a relationship. This is probably why she's, you know, well, like, it was why she went to the hippie, you know, drug side of her life. Yeah. What was the reaction when you learned that story? Like, as an actress, does it affect you?
Yes. Oh, yes. I cried when I first read it. I think the Joes did such a beautiful job telling that story so simply and succinctly. It went by in a flash, you know, that scene in the hospital, but that's all we needed. Because she had dropped hints about the last date she'd been on, the last 2-person date, how she just kind of sat around and listened to music with this guy named Michael. And you got a sense that there was maybe a little more to that. And when we did see that, it was just this really grounding moment for me as an actor, and also just as a person, to relate to that. You know, I think everyone has lost someone close to them, or has known someone that has, you know, a parent that's maybe lost their parent, whatever it is. And sitting in that hospital room next to someone holding their hand is something a lot of people can relate to. And they did such a good job of painting that picture so that people could feel what she was feeling. And I think that was what was most important, was feeling the emotion that she was going through, just in the memory of it. And so it was really nice to get to do that. And then to be able to explain to Sam why she had kind of been so selfish and dishonest with Thorfinn about not remembering the date and everything. You know, she probably didn't have to do that, but I think we understood it.
Mm-hmm. You're making me emotional. I've had some losses over the last couple of years, and you know, like you said, you know, connecting on that level as a person and as an actress, it's like, you know, like, again, I keep saying, it keeps coming through. It comes through on the screen, but it does. It's really a true moment. It's not this, you know, they don't do big broad strokes on this series. It's the
that's right.
It's the little details that always, if it's humor or the more, you know, emotional side of it, that make it stand out from everything else.
Absolutely. It has a lot of heart. And I think almost every ghost story and living story is one that, you know, we can relate to, that people can relate to. And it makes it a really special show, because it is very funny, but it also has a lot of pathos.
So speaking of that, you know, you've got this strong and fragile side of your character. You have the ditzy, and then you realize there's a smarter side to her, a much smarter side than we were, you know, given privy to at first. What is it like to play a person who's or to play a character who's underestimated all the time? Oh,
so fun. So fun. Especially in that episode where we realized that maybe sometimes Flower plays dumb. Maybe she pretends she forgets things. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how often she's done that in the past. That would come in handy in a house full of insane people having to contend with. I love playing people that are underestimated. I think Flower has a very philosophical side. I think she has a sneaky side. I think she could have a jealous side, and all of it could be surprising. But ultimately, she's very loving, and she leads with love, and she wants to connect with people. She would love to be Hetty's best friend. She'd love to be Alberta's best friend. You know, she wants connection. She wants closeness. And so, but she's also, you know, one of the many kids in this house. So for me, I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and I had an imaginary friend, and I had 3 siblings I could have played with, but I prefer to play by myself often. And I feel like that's kind of Flower. You know, she wants to go stare at the wallpaper sometimes. She doesn't want to deal with the drama. So it's really fun to be able to play someone that is in and out of what's actually happening in the house, but also selectively so.
I like it. The secret ingredient of this is the writing and the chemistry that created between all these different characters and the different dynamics. Is there a scene partner that you enjoy working with most? And is there a scene partner you'd like to work with more often?
Oh, I love working with everyone in the cast. Like, it's truly, you know, we all know each other so well. Everyone has different strengths that they bring to a scene or that they bring out in other people. All the ladies in the cast are all incredible to work with. We're very close. I love whenever I get a good Samantha scene, because she just really sees you. As an actress, Rose just grounds herself and listens and has empathy, and is such a brilliant technical actress. Rebecca, I mean, God, she can get to the meat of a scene and break it down and make you so much better. And she's so good. And Danielle is such a force. My God, she's so funny. And she's always so relaxed on set, but when it's her time to, you know, come in with her joke, she brings the hammer. Like, she's a pro. And then of course, all the guys, like, I love every single person in the cast. I really can't pick one. I would say I'd love to have more scenes with Sasapis, just because I don't think we've explored their relationship, Flower and Sasapis. In real life, Ramon and I are like brother, sister. We always say that. Like, it feels like we know each other in that way. That's our comfort level with each other. And we're very close. And so it's just wild to me that we haven't gotten that many scenes or storylines as characters. I'm curious, like, what that would even be. Maybe because we're similar. I don't know.
Well, you know, we've got more seasons ahead of us, so hopefully many more seasons ahead of us.
Yes.
Do you have, like, you know, is this like a series you just do for the rest of your life, or do you think there's like an end, end date for it?
You know, I don't know. It really depends on how far this B&B goes and what it will actually take to kind of, for the ghost to be sucked off. I don't know if they ever will be or should be. I think the show definitely has legs to last for a really long time, though. I mean, I think it's a perfect premise for it's a perfect engine for like a million different storylines. I mean, we think about them all the time backstage. We're like, oh, what if we did this or an episode like this? There's so many great ideas all the time. And that's a sign of a great show, because it's also character driven and it's based on characters that have stories to tell, as opposed to just, you know, it's about ghosts that are going to spook people in a mansion. It's not even about the haunting or anything. It's about their afterlives being lived out or their lives being lived out in their afterlife. So, yeah, I think there's so much we can do with it. I hope it goes for a long time.
Oh, I was going to say that the mythology, that the rules they create, it's a lot of fun to see those rules and then have to enforce them and must kind of paint them into corners. Like, how do we do this? And then it also opens it up, because you allow, you know, if a car pulls up with a ghost in it, well, now you have a new character, and all these different kind of ways that they're expanding the world is a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we can still discover more ghosts on the property, which is really cool. And it's really fun for us when we get guest stars. You know, we shoot in Montreal, so we just hang out with each other. You know, there's not a lot of time to make friends outside in the city. Although we love Montreal, the people are amazing, but yeah, so whenever we get a guest star come out, we like take them out to dinner, we have a good time, we get to know them, we hope they come back. But our casting directors always find incredible actors for us to work with. So it's always very exciting to get a new character introduced.
I've been up there. I love that city. With so many clever and funny lines, it's probably the most moving testicle story I've ever told.
Yeah. And I feel so spoiled as Flower. I feel like season 2, especially, I've gotten some great singers that our writers have written for us. it's such a pleasure to say the jokes that they give us. And it's so much fun. And I don't break too much when I'm delivering them because, you know, the good actor in me wants to just nail it for the director and then hope that there's time to, you know, add a little extra if there is. But really, I think if anything, we try to make each other break with our lines, you know, because it's so fun to get someone else to laugh. And I'm always laughing when Devin goes on a tear as Thorfinn. So him telling the testicle story was, of course, harder for me to get through than me saying my response.
That's hilarious. What do you get to improv at all? Do you bring any improv?
Yeah, we improv all the time. And the Joes, our showrunners and our directors are always super like into it. And it's just fun to like make the crew laugh and make each other laugh. I mean, ultimately, usually what's written on the page 99% of the time is gold, you know. I mean, it's always gold, but you're not going to come up with something better. But if you really, in that moment, there's a truthful reaction to something that you want to add and you do, we do. And sometimes they make it in, which is great.
Is there any that you remember, one that you recall?
Oh, you know, it was in the first episode of season 2. I'm supposed to come down the stairs and just say, what did I miss? And then Trevor like fills me in. And so I added like, oh, exciting. And which one's Jay? Mm-hmm. Which was just a little fun surprise because normally you just kind of know when a shot is going to end. And so I was like, oh, if I keep going, it will be fine because they'll cut it before and then they'll go to the next thing. But it ended up making it in, which was really a fun little win. And a fun little embellishment on Flower's character. So it's nice sometimes you can get those in. Oh, I was just saying it's funny because we made it a recurring thing that she doesn't remember Jay. Sometimes.
What I love about that is it shows how good the writing is because you know these characters, and if you know the characters, then you can extend them. If they're so one dimensional, you know, you're not going to be able to do that. And I'd love to see like a script to I'd actually love to see the whole production, just seeing a scene come together because technically you've got some challenges, but also with all these different characters, everybody, you're not fighting for not airtime or competing, but you all want to land those lines properly, and it's like it's got to flow, and it does. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's a musicality to it. You can't improv all the time. You have to like hit your joke so the next person can hit their joke. And if you cause a log jam, then the rest of the scene doesn't work. So we're really great at that now with our ensemble. We've figured out how to kind of sing as a chorus, and when there's a little peppering to be added, go for it. But sometimes it's not needed at all.
Speaking of the chorus, are you looking forward to no one's committed to this yet, but the fans are hoping for it, the musical episode?
Yes, I hope that happens one day. I don't know if it'll happen yet. Sometimes those episodes happen later on in series histories, but whenever it does happen, we will be ready. I've been vying for like not a musical episode, but like a ghost talent show that we put on for each other or something where people can kind of do funny hidden talents. Maybe it's not the talents you might think that they have, because there's so many amazing talents. Like Brandon is an incredible tennis player. I mean, I don't know how that would make it a talent show, but I just think it's such a cool fact and something Isaac could totally be great at. I'd love to see Pete try to do stand-up, there's so many cool little fun quirks to the cast and everything. Ramon is an excellent dancer. And everyone can sing, which is so nice.
Do you have a hidden talent?
Well, I sing. I don't know if that's a hidden talent because I did that a lot as a kid. I play basketball. Well, that's already with Flower.
Did you actually play? Did you play in high school? And
I did, yeah. Yeah, I played in high school. I loved it. I'm not as good as I used to be, but I still like to shoot hoops. I can do a left-handed layup, which
That's great. Yeah, my daughters both play, and I got to coach them, or get to coach one of them still.
Awesome.
Basketball is it's close to my heart.
Mine as well.
And awesome. I mean, hopefully they work that in more, and we can have some good flashbacks. But I don't know how that would work though. Whatever. So Let me wrap up with just a couple quick questions. One, you had the big cliffhanger, someone gets sucked off. I know you can't share anything about, anything, but what was it like? What was the cast reaction? What was your reaction? Is anyone nervous that this is going to change things up, or how do you feel about it?
I was really excited about it. I think it's an awesome way to end season 2. It's something we've been hinting at that could happen at any moment to any one of us. So it's about time. It's been 2 years, with these ghosts. Of course, no one wants to lose anyone, even, our guest stars, our co-stars, our basement ghosts. We all love working with everyone. But I also think anything is possible with this show. People can come back. We've seen it happen. So I just trust the Joes to make the best decision with it. I actually don't know what the decision is. They wrote it without telling us. I don't know if they knew at that point or if they know now. But I just trust them to tell the story the best way it needs to be told. So I'm sure it'll be great no matter what it is.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, this is not fair. You're ending the season like this, but also start thinking, who do you want? Well, if it has to be one of them, like there's no one. You can't.
Well, and that's great. I think that was the point of it too, because it gets people worried, because that's a sign of a good show. Everyone wants everyone to stick around. So, including us. So fingers crossed.
Close out.
Yeah.
So
and who knows with this writer's strike? I mean, I don't know when you're going to get to see the results of the cliffhanger. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully sooner than later. Let's, maybe someone in this world will do the right thing once in a while. We can start with the writers, not the writers, with the writer's strike. Do the right thing, people.
Yes.
It's frustrating as a fan, as someone who works in this, and I get to speak with people who create this, and I only do it because I'm passionate about it, and I love. I only speak with people whose work I really appreciate. It's not, I don't just do this because I have to. And also I'm like, well, no, so-and-so can't speak. And this series might not come back. This one might be canceled. This one's going to be delayed. I'm like, and you see what it is. It's, well, I'll cut all this out, but it's all dollar signs and it's disgusting. It's like, fix it. I know what it's like to be on the wrong side of, money on this side of the wall and pennies on that side.
Right. Someone's making money and people are working, 50+ hour work weeks to make this show possible. It's a grind to be a writer on a network show, on any show. And I just hope that we can resolve this, because there's not a lot of opportunities to make these major changes, especially as technology improves. So whatever happens now, it's not just like this is going to affect the here and now. It's going to set a precedent for the next 20 years. And it's so important because this is happening globally with corporations and its workers.
Yeah. There's so many scary things going on with technology that you're like, if we don't put some, block off some of these roads, some of these paths, which of course would be the easy one, because those are the ones that will make you money. And those are the ones that will put the money in the shareholders' hands. But that's not the point. We have to have integrity.
Absolutely. And the pay gap is getting so much bigger, and it doesn't have to.
3 words to describe Flower.
Pacifist, passionate, mischievous.
Love it. One more question. What are you watching right now? What do you watch? Just curious.
Oh, I try to watch everything. I'm watching Succession, as I'm sure most people are. I'm watching the other 2. I think it's on HBO. I think it's just, our show is very funny, and that's the show that I go to laugh, because, we make our show, but it's so different. And the other 2 is, I think, just like the funniest show on TV. I think it's incredible. I think everyone that's in it is amazing. And it's just laugh out loud funny. It's so good.
And plus Brandon's in there.
And plus Brandon's in there, and he's pretty great.
It's a huge plus.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure to speak with you. I don't want to take up much more of your time. Pleasure to watch your work, and I'm looking forward to more. And hopefully it's much sooner than later.
Yes, let's hope. Thank you so much, Stephen. This was really fun.
It was great. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.